Alright, everybody, welcome to the channel. John Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate it whenever you guys watch. It means a lot. So let's get into the video with all that out of the way. So during the MCU's run since 2008, they have managed to crank out 23 movies, all of them being decent to really good, in my most humble opinion. And in that time, obviously people form their favorites and ones they maybe don't like as much, and that's no different with me. So today we are going to rank my top 10 favorite MCU movies. I was going to rank all of them, but that video would just be way too long. I spent way too much time talking about each movie, so I narrowed it down to 10. And remember, this is just a ranking of my personal favorites, not which ones I think are the best or the worst. It's just which ones I personally like over the others. All right, make sure that you leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get into the countdown. All right, so starting off, our top 10 is Spider-Man Homecoming. The MCU's first crack at a Spider-Man solo movie, in my opinion, was an outstanding success. I love Spider-Man Homecoming. Obviously, it got into the top 10 of my favorite franchise of all time. And here's why. I really identify with Spider-Man, just his struggle with balancing his school life and his personal life and his responsibilities as Spider-Man really resonates with me because, as a teenager, you have to balance a lot of things. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to save the world at the age of 15, but I can identify with his struggle of wanting to do certain things but not being able to because of what you're responsible for. I really believe that Tony was used very well in his mentor role. Peter actually suffered consequences for his actions. I think Michael Keaton as the Vulture was awesome. His supporting cast and all his friends are awesome as well. Like I said, Michael Keaton nails it as Vulture. I think he played the role kind of eerie and grimmy, but still kind of passionate and understandable, and so I think he absolutely nailed it, and I think this movie is a perfect MCU Spider-Man movie. Alright, at number 9, we got the OG Iron Man, the movie that kicked it all off. I mean, this movie is the Godfather, the first, the Alpha. It's what started this whole thing, man, and obviously you have to like it because of that. But besides that, it's a really excellent movie, definitely one of the best origin films in superhero history. Robert Downey Jr. is awesome. He carries that performance all the way through the Infinity Saga. Just him maturing and making the decision to cancel the production of weapons and everything like that was just absolutely spectacular. And this is also my mom's favorite MCU movie, so it gets brownie points for that. At number 8, we got Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie on paper should not work. A movie about a bunch of obscure comic book characters in a universe that's been mainly on Earth with very grounded and serious characters should not come together into the wonderfulness that is Guardians of the Galaxy. Just from a pure comedy standpoint, awesomely funny. Beginning to end, one of the funniest movies in the MCU, hands down. The dynamic between Gamora and Rocket and Quill and Groot and Drax is the backbone in this movie, and they do it perfectly. And this movie proved to the audiences and to the studio that Marvel can do any kind of storyline they want to with any characters they want to, because if they can make Guardians of the Galaxy work, they're going to make anything work. At number 7, we got Spider-Man Far From Home. My favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. Just Peter's struggle throughout this movie is so emotional and really impactful, and I just really enjoy the heck out of that. I love all the summer vacation, John Hughes 80s teenage film vibes when they're in Europe and it's all romantic and everything like that. Love that. Love Peter's journey as he goes from not wanting the responsibility to trusting Mysterio and having to pay for the consequences of his actions again, just like he did in Homecoming, and having to fix the mess that he created, which is kind of a powerful message because a lot of times there are a bunch of teenagers that mess up and their parents fix it. And I think it's a powerful example of what we as a generation should do. If you make a mess, if you mess up, you should pay the consequences. You should fix it to the best of your abilities. And all the different suits he goes through, Iron Spider, Night Monkey, his historic suit, and then this all-time favorite goated suit for me, the red and black, looks so awesome, so sleek. The only thing holding this movie back for me is the Edith plot line maybe doesn't make complete sense. I'm not completely sure why Tony would make a drone army. But what's worse is I don't think Peter would have gotten it. Like, I understand Tony really loved Peter, but to give the keys to that such powerful arsenal to a 16-year-old, or however old he is in Home and Far From Home, he's either 15 or 16, which is ridiculous. Just even think about that. He saved the world multiple times at age 14 through 16. But anyways, that he would get it over someone like Rhodey or something like that. So just like that little mechanic, I really didn't like. But besides that, I absolutely loved this movie and the finale and the Mysterio and the post-credit scene. All that was just epic. At number 6, we got Captain America: The Winter Soldier. What some people will consider the best MCU movie, I consider it right up there as well. But it's just far as a few favorites. There are just a few movies that come in front of it, obviously. But I love the absolute heck out of this movie. Probably the MCU movie I've seen the most because it is always on TV. If you go to TNT, TBS, or Sci-Fi Channel, or Sci-Fi Network, this movie's probably on. Honestly, this movie is always on TV, so I've watched it a lot, and every time it just gets better and better and better. This movie definitely has a different tone than other MCU movies. It's a political thriller, espionage, kind of spy film, and that's awesome. I freaking love that. I think that Captain America and Black Widow, along with the Winter Soldier and Falcon, are kind of the perfect grounded human characters to pull off a movie like that, and they do it excellently. Winter Soldier is arguably one of the best movies. It's probably top 2 in the MCU, but for me, there's just a few that I have a personal connection better with, and so that's why Winter Soldier falls at 6. Love this movie, watch it all the time, finishes at number 6. All right, cracking into our top 5 is The Avengers, the movie that proved that the MCU was going to work. Proof of freaking concept that you could have all these different characters that come from various backgrounds, have various tones, put them all together in one movie, and voila. You have a box office summer blockbuster like no other. All of the first 2/3, when they're building and they're bickering and they're having to get away with their difference, pays off so well in the last 30 minutes in the Battle of New York. It's just epic. Probably second only to Endgame as far as just pure finales, just because it is 30 minutes of our heroes just pounding everybody into the dirt. Everybody gets an awesome moment, a very memorable moment. And this is just the movie that showed that the MCU was going to work and showed that the success was going to be sustained into what it is today. Number 4, we got Captain America: Civil War. This movie is personally responsible for getting me into the MCU. I had seen a few MCU movies before I watched this movie. I had seen Iron Man, Iron Man 2, The Avengers, and both of the Captain America movies preceding this one. That was it. And this movie had Vision and Wanda and Ant-Man. Who didn't know? And then you throw in Black Panther and Spider-Man. And just the emotional strain between Tony and Steve is the backbone of this movie and the entire MCU. And this movie sets up the demise of the Avengers, sets up Infinity War so well. And then Endgame, the breaking up, the failing, and the redemption of the Avengers all starts in this movie. And this movie will always have a special place in my heart because it made me fall in love with my favorite movie franchise. Cracking into our top 3 is Thor Ragnarok. When this movie came out, I was not expecting I was going to like it that much, but turns out this movie was epic, is epic. Definitely, in my opinion, the funniest MCU movie in the entire catalog. It really changed the direction of the Thor character. He was kind of stoic and heroic and Shakespearean, and now he's witty and he's quippy and he's hilarious, all while not changing the fundamental thematic standpoints of the Thor arc so far. And so to be able to pull off that feat is amazing while featuring the Hulk and Valkyrie and Loki, and Hela's a good villain. And it was just really, really funny and epic. Seeing Thor glow up like that is just, I mean, like, you can't beat seeing someone light up and their eyes start glowing. Like, that's just, that will always be an undefeated trope in my book. So that's why Thor finishes at number 3. All right, now, at a very tight and contested 2 and number 1, number 2 goes to Avengers Infinity War. In my opinion, the best MCU movie from an objective standpoint. You could put it up there with The Dark Knight and Batman Begins and Spider-Man 2 as one of the greatest comic book movies ever. It is a 2-hour and 40-minute blitz of pure action, sprinkle in Thanos' origin story, this big bad we've been building to. They nailed it. There's honestly, I have no complaints with this movie. There's nothing I would change. This is probably the only MCU movie where I can say that, where there's no holes in it. There's no flaws in it. And the ending is just emotional. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Literally makes me tear up and or cry every single time I watch it. Thor dropping down into Wakanda still gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. It doesn't matter. And this movie is just epic. This and the next movie on the list, which you probably already know, are my 2 favorite movies of all time, so it was really close. All right, before I reveal number 1, we got honorable mentions. So coming in at 11, 12, and 13 respectively, we got Captain America, the First Avenger, Iron Man 3, and Black Panther. But at number 1, you probably already know, Avengers Endgame. The culmination of the Infinity Saga, just the ability to stick the landing, from a thematic standpoint, from an epicness standpoint, tying up everything so awesomely while still leaving the door open for the next generation of Avengers. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better closing to a saga like that. And just all the epic stuff, the time travel, the portals, Avengers Assemble, Tony's sacrifice, Cap lifting Mjolnir, just everything is just awesome in this movie. It's not perfect, no, but as far as just wrapping everything together, beautiful. And that last song that Cap and Peggy danced to, I will dance to that song in my wedding. Mark my words today. This movie is just epic and makes me so emotional, and it's my favorite movie of all time, so it was naturally going to finish number 1 on this list. Alright, thank you for checking out today's video. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.